Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon. Today we're taking a look at the T57 Heavy. That is a Tier 10 US heavy tank characterized by solid mobility, armor that may not be too thick, but it is based on angles, so you're going to get some bounces, and a crazy good gun with an auto loader that features 4 shots in the clip capable of throwing down 1600 damage in a very short period of time. 6 seconds. The intra-clip reload time of 2 seconds between shots is awesome. That means you can expose yourself less than other auto loaders and cycle out tanks very quickly. The T57 is seen by most as a strict upgrade to the AMX-50B, though I don't think that's the case. It's slightly more complicated than that. The AMX-50B has better mobility, especially that top line speed, so it can move around the map faster than the T57. However, the T57 with that intra-clip time of 2 seconds versus the AMX-50B's 2.5 seconds means it will empty out the clip faster and have less exposure time. Also, the AMX-50B has a premium round of APCR and the T57 has a premium round of heat. APCR is in general going to be a little bit better if the penetration levels are the same. Now, we just saw Garbad throw a shot into the distance. He was lined up on the tank, and after the first shot the tank disappeared, so he volleyed into what appeared to be thin air. I actually like that decision. The second shot had a high probability of hitting. The third and fourth, probably not so much, but they were what are considered to be low risk and high upside types of shots that you should be taking. A lot of people just don't fire enough and take those low percentage shots. For example, there are many times where I'm out in the open and all the opponent has to do is left click on me and I'm dead, but they never shoot because I go off the mini-map. Their reticle is centered right over where I was, and again, they just have to left click. They're loaded, but I'm not visible. And so I encourage everyone to take those shots that might seem like you're spraying a little bit, even if you only have a 5 to 10% chance of hitting. If you hit that shot and you don't need the shell in the meantime if you miss, then go for it. The places where the 57 has a strict advantage over the 50B are in aim time. It's a little bit shorter at 2.7 versus 3 seconds. And the clip reload time, the base clip reload time is 25 seconds versus the 50B's 30 seconds. With skills, you can get that down to about 22, 23 seconds, depending on how hard you want it. And just over 20 seconds to reload a full clip of 1600 damage, that's really good, and it's possible to get more sustained firing with the 57 than the 50B. The ammo situation on the 57 is mildly annoying. First, you have to use heat. You have to bring some along just because you want to go through some tougher places like the front of a turret now and then. However, heat is just less good against angles and spaced armor than APCR, so you're going to need to carry a lot of armor-piercing ammo as well. However, the tank can only hold 36 rounds in total, which means you have to make some tough choices about how much heat versus how much armor-piercing ammo that you want to carry. And a lot of times you're going to end up with partial clips at the end of the game where you only have a few rounds. Whatever you choose, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I've seen people load full AP, I've seen people load full heat and bring 1 clip of each. Whatever works is roughly fine. The base round for AP is actually really strong, and it's not like you want to go face-to-face with a lot of other heavies anyway, so you don't really need to go through the front of a turret most of the time. Most of your engagements are going to look like this one, where the enemy has just fired and now you have 6 to 10 seconds to dump your clip into them before they're reloaded. One of the things that you don't want to do with the T57 is you don't want to square off against other tanks when they're loaded and they're pre-aimed on you. The armor is going to give you some surprising bounces now and then, but for the most part you don't want to trade 1-for-1 shots. If you're going to trade, you want to be able to deal 4 and take 1 in return. So if the enemy's dealing 400, you're dealing 1600, that's a good trade. Even if you can only get 2 for 1, that's going to be fine. Taking 1 for 1 trades is not going to be good. Peeking in to get just 1 snapshot off is not going to be good. You want to plan your engagements where you're going to be able to dump the clip if possible. Now, I'm not saying that you'd have to dump the clip every time. I'm just saying that's what you're aiming for on the upper side of things. While it's pleasing to think that the T57 has 1600 alpha effectively, realistically it does take 6 seconds once you start firing to deal that 1600 damage. And when facing down, there's a tank left E4, there's a J100, there's a Waffle, there's a T54 E1. These tanks can either match or exceed the single shot firepower of the 57, making it somewhat awkward to expose yourself. Because the idea could be, hey, I'm just going to eat a shot and then cycle him out. What can happen is you eat that shot and then you only get 1 or 2 shots of damage in, which makes it a pretty poor trade on your end if you're taking, for example, the shot from the E100 and you can't deal damage in return. Now the E4 to Garbad's left is going to make a very poor decision. He is going to eat a shot from the J100 rather than let Artie deal with him. The game is certainly in the green team's favor at this point, but it's slightly difficult to finish off. The Waffle is most likely loaded and can cycle out a lot of low hit point tanks. Garbad doesn't have quite the gun depression to kill the E1 right there, and the E1 believes, hey, the T57 must not be loaded, which was not the correct thing to draw from that, but I don't hate the E1's decision. He was taking a chance, and I think it was a pretty good risk, because if he could have cycled out Garbad right there, and then the E4 is a one-shot as well, there was real high upside to what the E1 was doing. So I definitely don't hate the fact when it just looked like he derped, it was closer than what he thought. And now we're at the stage of the game that everyone hates, pushing into a fully loaded Waffle when everybody is 1 or 2 shottable. Yay, what fun. The T57 Heavy is easily one of the best Tier 10 tanks, with armor based on angles and a small package with some awesome gun depression. You're going to be able to hide most of the tank and get some crazy bounces now and then. The gun is fantastic, even after the nerf to heat mechanics and the introduction of stronger autoloaders such as the Waffle. The T57 remains an incredibly strong offensive tank. Garbad wrote up a full review, link in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.